Welcome to episode number 79 of the Between Two Brands podcast. I am still your host. They keep me around week after week. Who would have thunk it? But yet, here I am. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I think we have a great guest. No, actually, I know we have a great guest because he is a great guest. But before we get to that, you know what we have to do, right? We have to pay the rent. So let's go ahead and do that. If you haven't noticed, there have been so many changes in the promotional products industry the past few years, from big distributor moves to supplier consolidation. It's hard to keep up with it. Heck, even PPAI just did a great brand refresh. Frankly, that's why I'd like to start the podcast today. We talk about something we don't talk often enough about in the branded merchandise space, and that is the concept of stability. Now, with all the changes that happen on a regular basis, it's just as important to talk about the companies that are established, that are stable, and that are strong. And for over 90 years, in 4 generations of family ownership, Shapenko has genuinely cared about the success of their clients. Now, that, my good friends, is the definition of stability. Now, another point, they only sell through promotional products distributors. That means they're dedicated to doing more than just delivering quality merchandise at a fair price. They go the extra mile to ensure that every distributor project is a resounding success. It's the right way to do business, and that is how you continue to be stable and strong heading into the next 90 years. Bottom line, Shapenko has stood the test of time. The experience, the products, and frankly, the people. Absolutely the best. Head over to shapenko.com to start your next project today. All right, I'm recording this a week or so early as I'm trying to get ahead on content, but the World Cup is still going on, which has been nothing short of phenomenal, in my opinion. I'm recording this on Wednesday, July 1st, which means the USA is playing a knockout game tonight against Bosnia and Herzegovina. I have no idea who's going to win. Obviously, I hope it's the United States. But I don't want to talk necessarily about the greatness of the event. I think we'll talk about that with our guest a little bit. But what I want to talk about is some World Cup branding wins. Now, one of the things FIFA, the governing body of global soccer, demands is that if you're not a sponsor of FIFA, you cannot have any signage in any of the World Cup events. So, for example, AT&T Stadium is where the Dallas Cowboys play, and that's where I believe 9 World Cup games are being played during the course of the World Cup. Well, it's not called AT&T Stadium; it's called Dallas Stadium, even though it's in Irving, but I digress. So they had to cover up their logo, and they did. They just kind of put a sheet over it, or a sheet, that's a very loose word, but a big tarp over it to hide it. Well, this happened at just about every stadium across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. But a couple smart brands figured out here's the way we can do something with it. Levi's, they are it's where San Francisco 49ers play. They put you know what their logo is, the kind of curved M, red M. They put a very, very tight logo, kind of giving away the logo underneath it, which is awesome. And then what they did, they changed all their social handles to reflect that picture you see on the side of Levi's Stadium. Gillette, which is where the New England Patriots play up near Boston, they covered their logo of Gillette Stadium. I love it. It looks like shaving cream. It's not shaving cream, but it looks just like it. And Heinz, they have some sponsorships in some of the stadiums in Canada. Inside the stadiums, they had to cover it, and they did it with like just almost, it looks like giant black electrical tape. And then they launched an unofficial stadium ketchup with the Heinz logo appearing to have that black tape across it on the actual bottles. Man, I gotta tell you, that is so much fun. Like I said, I am loving the World Cup. I am not an enormous fan of soccer. I really grew to appreciate soccer when one of my sons, Drew, was a pretty good goalie in middle and high school, and so I understand the rules of the game. The competition, though, has been next level, and I've really enjoyed every bit of the knockout stage, the early parts. I'm sorry, the group stage, and then the early parts of the knockout stage have been nothing short of phenomenal. But you know, FIFA is generally regarded as about the most corrupt sports organization this side of the International Olympic Committee. And from the outside looking in, I love that the brands are mocking the silliness of this rule. Just because FIFA's pockets aren't going to be lined by an announcer calling it AT&T Stadium and they have to call it Dallas Stadium, they're making everybody cover up their logos, and it looks so ridiculous, and makes honestly it's drawing more attention to the brands that have creatively handled this. It I think what I'm trying to say, and not doing it very eloquently, it makes the companies they have to comply with the orders. That's just kind of part of the deal, but they're spinning it into viral marketing opportunities. And I think there's a lesson there that when we're told we can't do something, and there's no way we can, there's usually, not always, but almost always, another way around to comply with the rules and regulations, but also get a sense of or get a chance to show their creativity, show that they have a sense of humor, which FIFA clearly does not. And so I applaud Levi's, Heinz, Gillette. I may be missing others, but man, brilliant opportunities in what presented itself as a real challenge, a real setback. Love to hear from you on this. If you want to drop it in the comments below, that'd be great. Hey, before we bring on our guest, let's go ahead and pay one more bill, shall we? Now, many people know how to build a business, but very few understand not only when to sell your business, but the process involved to ensure that you find the right partner and maximize the return on your investment. Now, honestly, that's where you need an expert. And I'm talking about an expert in the promotional products industry to help you, which is where certified marketing consultants come in. Jamie Watson and her team have decades of experience facilitating private company sales in our space. Now, to help you evaluate if it's time to sell your business, reach out to CMC at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. All right, that's enough of me blathering on. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest. Hey, wake up. My guest today, he doesn't need an introduction, but you know what? Let's waste some of his time, some of your time, and certainly some of my time by doing one anyway. He is the founder and CEO of Desk Plants. Founded in 2018, Desk Plants is focused on providing high quality merch that actually lasts. I know, quite a concept. He's based in Austin, Texas. He loves spending time with his family out on hikes with his 1-year-old Pierce and his German Shepherd Henry. And if you spend any time with him, you're going to start talking about golf because he loves to golf as much as he humanly possibly can. He's also got one of the absolute sweetest mustaches in merch. Please join me in welcoming the plant daddy himself, Mr. Lawrence Hanley. Lawrence, thank you for
Yo,
doing
how we
this.
doing, man? What an intro. I might have to, that might be my alarm clock just to get up every morning. I'm hyped. Appreciate that.
That's why they paid me the $0 for.
Love it.
Hey, let's jump in. I'm a huge sucker for how people landed in this industry. And you worked at a wide variety of companies before you got really invested in this space. HubSpot, Cartero, Quantcast, name a few. I have a couple questions. What made you decide to leave from what I would consider corporate America to pursue your entrepreneurial dream with Desk Plants?
Short answer, I'm pretty unhireable. Like I just don't take, yeah, I don't take directions really well from people. Look, there's plenty of people I respect and I can absolutely follow, but in corporate America, it's not about merit and ability. It's more about loyalty and all that jazz. So the political thing, when it comes to the latter there, not my game. So that was a big impetus for me to get out of it. And I got into the at least the desk plant side, and then we can talk about how we get in a promo. Just because at HubSpot, Criteo, Quantcast, these are all software solutions that we're working with, mainly e-commerce model
Right.
businesses. So I really had a great exposure to the back end of these things, and just it dawned on me that look, you don't have to be Steve Jobs to be successful at this model. You just have to not be the slowest one in the back,
Yeah.
and avoid obvious mistakes. And so that gave me the confidence to go out and start it, and I did that in 2018.
Well, and one of the things I noticed because I do my LinkedIn research once, it almost is like breadcrumbs. Your path, if you really pay attention, it was absolutely breadcrumbs to this industry.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I mean, I was obviously aware of promo. I've been on the receiving end of a lot of merch throughout my years in the corporate space.
Sure.
I'd even worked with a couple of merch companies on their advertising campaigns. So I was aware of it, but I didn't think of it as my future in building desk plants. In fact, we were really modeled around the D2C component, and we had a brick and mortar in Austin. It was awesome. I loved that business model, but unfortunately, we opened it up in 2019, and of course, we know what happened in 2020. And when you're bootstrapped brick and mortar, surprise, when the government says you can't have live foot traffic in your space anymore because of, the pandemic,
Yeah.
you plummet, your revenue plummets. And so yeah, it was just a lucky break. Somebody called us in promo and said, "Hey, can you throw a logo
Yeah.
on the pottery and send it as a finished good?" And we'd already been shipping it.
Yeah,
So
as it turns out, I can. Yeah,
yeah.
and I love what you say about being unhireable. I always tell people I am absolutely unemployable. I've said that for the last. We just sell some brand of eight. I started. I was this is how smart I am. I started it in July of 2020. Super smart time to do that, or maybe it was. I don't know. But we just celebrated our 6 year anniversary, and I don't think I can work for somebody else. I don't know if anybody else would have the expectations I have on myself.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things I remember about being in corporate America, because I was for a long time, both in this industry and before I got in this industry, is so many people who are capable, who are smart. They just learn to hide. They learn to do the absolute minimum just to get by. And I don't want to do that. And I think that the same thing of you when I think of you.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that there's a lot of companies who just don't incentivize their employees well,
Yeah.
and so it's finding a job's not an easy thing to do, especially in today's economy. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're not motivated and pumped about the mission, like why wouldn't you find ways to kind of find shortcuts? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's some people
No.
do that, but yeah, people like you and I, it's like I gotta when I wake up. Once I get through my morning routine, I'm on build mode, even
Yep.
though I've been doing this for 8 years.
Always.
How
There's
can I
always
improve?
something to do. There's always something to do.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
wonder if your corporate background, did it help you with desk plants and kind of navigating what you wanted to be in this industry at all?
Yeah, I think it did in a lot of ways. So I was really on the sales side of things. So you deal with a lot of no's real quick. You deal with the understanding of what a quota means over your head.
Yeah.
And so I'm used to that pressure, right? My quota now is my business performance. If it doesn't hit certain, benchmarks, my family goes hungry, right? So like,
Right.
I mean, that's a black and white way to put it, but I'm used to kind of being in that environment. So to me, that wasn't like a stressor that was going to deter me, and it's not something that breaks me. For me, the biggest thing I took away from it was the work ethic, right? While you can hide in a lot of ways in any corporate sales rep, there's also the quota that you can't really hide from, right? So,
Right.
for
And
me, it
that's
was.
and that can lead to burnout because it's this monthly thing
Oh,
in corporate America. It's like, man, I had a great month. Cool. It's July 1st. What are you gonna hit this month?
I don't know. We only got 3.5 weeks of the month to do it in, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it just gets compressed and like yeah, month to month. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But in a way, that was a good thing for me because I learned to understand that look, just because you do have a bad month doesn't mean game's over, right?
Right.
You got to kind of look back and say, well, we had a surplus, 2 months ago, so it's
Mhm.
okay as long as we keep the average at a certain level, we keep moving. But that perseverance, the thick skin, the willingness to persevere through a no or through a
Yeah.
setback, I think I take a lot of that from my days in corporate America, and that has just conditioned me to be able to just wake up every day ready to build and ready to move forward.
I love that. I love that. I want to dig deeper into desk plants because I know knowing you sustainability played a huge part in your overall ethos just as a human. How big of a role does it play in desk plants though?
I mean, it's everything, right? So the very product itself, obviously the plants are from the earth, right? So
Mhm.
you can't get much more sustainable than that. And
Right.
they're not processed. But the
Minimally processed plants.
exact organic, baby.
There we go.
But the vessels that we choose to be the pottery that where the branding goes, like we want to make
Mhm.
sure they're high quality, but also they have a lot of potential for second life usage. If somebody's maybe
Yeah.
not a plant person, that's okay. All of a sudden it's a pen holder, or you put another plant in there, or a candle holder, what have you.
Yeah.
Then we look at the packaging, right? Everything can be opened, put back into the master carton, and recycled right away, right? So
Mhm.
sustainability is a big part of the way that we look at how we bring products to market because at the end of the day, I look at so much junk in this industry and beyond just like the
Yeah,
boring stuff that just has boring applications, there's use, there's value. I'm not going to hate anybody for selling it. But at the same time, I think there is an onus on all of us in the industry to understand that, when you sell crap, you are contributing a little bit to kind of the downfall of our environment. You're putting it out.
100%.
And so I just don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of the
Yeah.
junk. I want to be a part of an option that people can choose to, stay away from that or not contribute to that ugly side
Right.
of what we do.
And I love your answer. One of the things people don't think about, sustainable merch doesn't mean it has to be recyclable. It doesn't have to be organic. Sustainable merchandise can be a mug like this, which I've had now for 4 years.
Mhm.
When something's used and kept, that contributes to sustainability. Or you don't want what Danny Rosen from Brandfield would call brand fill, all the cheap plastic shit that's out there that
Yeah.
people go, oh, that's cool, and throw in a trash can, or that you don't use it. It's got to be useful, and that's what I love about your product. But I think it's a difficult product for a lot of distributors to understand, let alone sell. And I know you have a sales background. How do you help them overcome that?
Yeah, so one of the things I like to call out is that this isn't a new product. People have plants in their homes. They go to the nurseries, they go to Home Depots, they get plants. So the concept there is actually pretty easy to connect the dots. A lot of end users just aren't aware that you can brand it and sell as merch.
Mhm.
So really, when you break it down like that, that's one aspect. The other thing I like to say is just the use cases, right? So we really are strong options in the gratitude and appreciation space, right? Milestones, anniversaries, birthdays.
Mhm.
We're an amazing option for new hires,
Mhm.
and we're an amazing option around Earth Day, right? So
Yeah.
when you kind of I when I first started this industry, I was like, oh, how can we get as many presentations as well? Cast the net wide, right? That's like the big thing,
Yeah.
and a lot of people talk about in tech sales.
Sure.
Well, actually, what clicked for me and what was a bit of a turning point was realizing where we sell the stickiest, right? And
Mhm.
because if I can put the ideas forward on like where to really put us with your clients, that's when distributors come back and I start getting repeat business, and people are like, "Oh, I got another client who's got a birthday program that we want to do,"
Right.
or end of the year for the appreciation after a long year, like. This is an appreciation gift that's going to last, right? It's not going to just be consumed and then forgotten about, or it's too Christmassy to really keep out throughout the rest of the year, or holiday-y, whatever you want to call it. It's something that can be sent as a holiday gift, but also enjoyed March, April, May, into the summer, right? So um, when we really connect the dots between the fact that people do understand the product itself and the fact that it's really sticky in these three use cases, that's
Mhm.
where I think we start winning a lot more, because it is new, it's unique. So
Yeah.
that's just my way of kind of overcoming that friction.
But I love that too. Again, we all get in this industry and like think everybody's our client, right? Everybody's possibly our client. And I think the faster you realize that not everybody's going to buy from you, and there is a certain segment though that will be absolutely fervently supportive of you, your brand, your product,
Mhm.
the quicker you're going to succeed. But you mentioned your niche supplier, and I love. By the way, my favorite suppliers are niche suppliers. I think
Mhm.
they serve such an important purpose. We have so many large suppliers; they do a great job. But I love the niche suppliers. How? But you have, which means, but you also have limited budget, right? When
Yep.
you're asked to go to, I want to go to this event, I want to go to this event. How do you pick where is best to spend not only your time because
Sure.
basically your desk plants. I'm
Yep.
Brandivate. If I'm not there, that's just how it works. So how do you choose how to invest your time and your money
I mean,
networking
that's
for like distributor focused networking events?
sure. I mean, that's a constant, thing that I consider every single month, right? To your point, we don't have the resources of an Apple or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So, the way I look at it is this: what I've found to be very successful is when we have actual conversations with people instead of just a quick hi that you get at Expo. We're at Expo. We have to be. I understand all
You have
that,
to
but
be. Yeah.
yeah. So, but for me, if I can go to some of the regional end users, if I can go
Mhm.
to one of the larger distributor end users, where I can have real conversations, I can ask questions about what their clients or what the actual, if it's an end user, what their, how they focus their budget and, what they spend on, what industry they're in. Then I can connect dots for people real easy in that. And then I have excellent follow up that I can leverage because I do take good notes while I'm having those conversations. So
Yeah.
for me, I really like to be able to be at an event where I can talk to people actually for like 4 or 5 minutes at a
Right.
time.
As opposed to the, can you scan my badge? Can you scan my badge? Hey, could you scan my badge?
Exactly. What do you have free today? Or, do you have, yeah,
Oh.
a lot of those. So for me, like I try to focus on, and then sort of the next layer is where have I not been? I've spent a lot of time in Texas. I spent a lot of time in the Midwest. Recently spent some time in Colorado and Utah area. And in the fall, I'm really focusing on the East Coast. So I really find that, hey, look, I know that I'm not going to walk away tomorrow with a big order, but as an example, I did an end user for a distributor up in New Hampshire in the
Hmm.
spring, and we've already got some pretty big deals that are likely to come through in the next few weeks with them, right?
It's
So
awesome.
to me, it's the 3, 6, 9 month curve where I went out, I invested in that relationship. Now they're going to think about me more. And over the course of the next 9 months, there's going to be more opportunities to come out of that. And that's what I'm really investing in and focusing on versus, man, I need some orders next month. Let's get out there as
Right.
fast as I can. Let's put ads out there. Like I don't know. That doesn't really, it hasn't been successful for me. So
I
the
don't think it works
target,
for, yeah, I don't think it works for anybody. And it's good to be in at least a mental position and a financial position where you say, okay, I can sprinkle some seeds, to use a
Mhm.
plant analogy, and
Love
watch
it.
them grow 6 to 9
Mhm.
months later. Let's talk about activations. I know it's something you're super passionate about. Rachel from SOC 101 was on last week, and we spoke a little bit about what she did at Rupt, but you had a really cool activation. Not that hers wasn't, but I want to talk about yours.
Sure.
I want you to tell the audience what you did for your activation at summer camp.
Yeah, we did a succulent bar. It was a lot of fun. And so the participants got to, they all got a nice little terracotta pot with the branding pre-engraved on it. We had a selection of different 2-inch succulents and a little bit of like a soil bowl. And I helped people sort of like put their succulent choices together. And they had a nice little succulent arrangement. And then we had a nice little bamboo wood stake that was planted in that had the event logo on it, and we packed everything in a TSA safe packaging, and people took it away, and everybody got their nice little dust plant
It,
arrangement.
and it was so cool to see that come together. It's the first time I've really been behind the scenes at activations, but also really just at a point where I could just kind of watch, almost like a movie as I was sipping my cocktail with my pinky in the air. It was great. It was really cool what you did. But I want to know, why do you feel activations are kind of like the future? Why is it so important to our industry moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, I look at the consumer market when I look at the foundation of what's happening in our space. Print on demand is just taking over that space.
Mhm.
People want the limited runs. People want the one-of-one with personalization on it, right? It's everywhere. Go to your local mall. There'll be a jewelry store doing, monogram engravings on a charm or something like that, right? So that's all in the print on demand world, that whole space. What I think companies are realizing is that when they do these events, you no longer can have a static table with a goodie bag or a stress ball or
Mhm.
just drinkware. I mean, it doesn't really connect the brand to the moment.
Yeah.
What people want to do is take people out of their. I mean, think of how distracted we all are, right? We're on our phones. We're in small talk conversations about the weather, right? It's silly. It doesn't provide a whole lot of value. But if you take somebody out of that noise and you bring them into a present moment,
Even
and
for a
you create
moment too, even if it's
even
just for that moment.
just a moment, right?
Yeah.
And you get them to engage in a product creation moment at a booth, at a event for HR for bringing the team together, at a holiday party. What you're doing is you're creating a connection to that event and a connection to that brand. So beyond
Yeah.
all the great value of higher perceived value of a brand, this, that, and the other, you're getting somebody to connect with you in real time with their hands, with their eyes, and that takeaway. Somebody said it best the other day. I can't remember who. I'm sure it'll come to me after this, but I think it was Mark from Swanky. You're no longer creating a water bottle. You're creating my water bottle that you take
Hmm.
away from that. And that all of a sudden, changes the whole perspective of what that takeaway is and
Yeah.
the connection and the memory and the connotations behind it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And now, in my opinion, it's the time to really, as a distributor, to jump on activations because over time, I'm not sure what that time is. They're going to become expected. It's going to become expected that this is what you do. This is what you bring to the table. That I can get, whatever product it is, but I can have an event and have it done right then and there, and it's personalized, and I can make it mine and unique. So now is the time to get with someone like the Plant Daddy.
Indeed, indeed.
Um, in my exhaustive research that took me 6 minutes to do, you attended a World Cup match, which we're still in the throngs of World Cup as this drops.
Mhm.
I think when this drops, it'll be the 17th. So I think we're about right at the finals, and
Yep.
hopefully the USA is still there. You attended a World Cup match between Argentina and Jordan with a good friend, Joseph Summer of Whitestone, good guy. I know you're a huge sports fan, but you said that it was an experience much deeper than a typical sporting event. Tell me about that experience. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a kind of two-pronged answer. We'll focus on the human element first.
Mm.
It was people, right? There was a Colombia Portugal game going on as we were going through the pregame parties and all that outside of AT&T Stadium. Jerry
I'm
World.
sorry, that's called Dallas Stadium, sir.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Sorry, FIFA. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Jerry
By the
World,
way,
as we call it in
uh,
Texas.
yeah, on the beginning, well, I call it the Death Star because I'm a Cowboys fan. I do a little preamble before I bring on a guest, and I kind of ripped on FIFA because it is the most corrupt organization outside of the International Olympic Committee, and I love how brands like Levi's, Heinz, and Gillette have made a mockery of them having to cover up the signs. But please,
It's
I
so
digress.
silly. Yes. Anyway, but cutting through the corruptness of FIFA, the people that were there to enjoy the event, yeah, and you had people from all over the world there. I mean, there were
Sure.
Mexican guys sitting in front of us. We were shooting the shit with them. We were, there were Jordanians in the crowd. There are a huge sea of Argentines,
Oh
best
gosh.
fans in the world that I've seen, just as far as passion and songs and roars.
Yeah.
We were all there because this shared moment, even though it was a group stage game between kind of a not so talented team and a potential favorite.
Yeah.
Leo Messi was in the building. Leo Messi scored a goal. We shared that moment together. It was the
Yeah.
happiest
Just got
place,
goosebumps. I just got goosebumps listening to
dude.
you.
Seriously, it was the happiest place in the world that night. And we were all just sharing that moment together, and we were all just people. And that's what I am so happy is happening on our soil in America because there's so much
Yes.
tension between people saying we suck for this reason, that country sucks for that reason. It's like, no, the export of politics into our media is not the reflection on the people of that country.
No.
What people I think are waking up to or being reminded of is that people are just people and
Yeah.
we're doing our things to pay our bills, keep food on the table, and we just want to have a sliver of happiness here and there.
Yeah.
And it happens to be at the World Cup right now, and people are all just doing the same thing. They're drinking their beer, they're meeting people, they're shaking hands, they're smiling. There wasn't an out. You go to a Red Sox game in Fenway,
Oh,
you're just going to get bumped left and right, and you're going to get yelled
yeah.
at if you're wearing the wrong team's hat. None of that, man. The opposing fans were embracing each other and loving each other, and it was a really cool moment where people of the world were coming together and enjoying the experience, and that was really encouraging. On the flip side, I hope that the people who've come here, and it sounds like they
Yeah.
realize that Americans are more than our ugly politics and stories of terrible news coming out of
Yeah.
our land. Like we are also just people too, and we are on the whole good people, loving
Yeah.
people, and we just want to have, a great time and create lasting memories.
uh, Even watching it from TV or from afar on TV, and I've been watching just about every game. I've been thoroughly enjoyed it. The realization that we are all just dopey humans trying to figure out life, and I came to a realization, and I think I saw it in a meme somewhere, but still, I had the feeling I just didn't articulate it, which is World Cup's reminding me that if we just got rid of all the world leaders, we'd all be just fine, get along, just fine.
I think if you're going to be a leader of a nation, they should have a group field trip and they send them into orbit just to look back at Earth, see what the real perspective is that we all share that blue ball
Yeah.
floating in the middle of the void. And everything's not that freaking serious, and we can
in the
figure
in
out
the
ways to
sheer
go on.
the sheer joy of the fans, and my one of my favorite takeaways watching the games, and I was actually in Mexico last week, and so it was fun. Ended up sitting with some of the we were at a resort, and some of the staff people watched the Mexico game. That was fun. That was
I
super
can
fun.
only imagine. Yeah.
But one of the real takeaways, I think my favorite fan base now is Japan. The way they bring their blue bags
Yep.
into the arena, they use them for like balloons and stuff during the game, and after the game, they go row by row and clean the stadium. It is the most respectful, it's the most humbling thing I think I've ever seen a fan base do. And this is coming from someone who one time did attend Old Yankee Stadium wearing a Texas Rangers hat, and I sat in the bleachers and got a beer dumped on me in the
Uh-huh.
second inning because Juan Gonzalez hit a home run.
Yep.
So I have a big appreciation for that type of respect for your fellow thing. And that's one of the, I'm an Aggie. One of the things I'm always proudest of being an Aggie, I've never heard anyone have a bad experience at Kyle Field. Always, even if A&M gets run out of the stadium, which might happen from time to time, they always get compliments on the fans.
Yeah, I mean, look, I hope that's part of the cultural, swap that we can get. I don't
Yeah,
expect American sports fans, especially at like a Cowboys game, to bring trash bags, pick up after themselves. But maybe there's a
right.
little bit more tolerance for somebody who's got another team color on, or maybe you at least clean up your personal area and you don't make it a complete mess. So little things like that. I hope that some people just pick up, and even if 10 people change the way they go to a game and interact with the stadium, then that's a win.
I tell you what, all the Europeans can have all the ranch dressing they want. It will take some of your cultural respect. How's that for a trade?
I'm all for it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. That's all I had. Is there anything you wanted to talk about? Is there anything you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, there's a cool merch. I don't know, maybe this is just me, but there's a cool merch experience I had at the World Cup, just to kind of tie that back into our merch world.
Sure.
The official stuff that was sold at the kiosks in the stadium sucked. Just design. I don't know. I wasn't thrilled by it. But there are a ton of people who got licensing to do their own stuff. I
Mhm.
saw this girl walking around the stadium, and I tapped on her shoulder. I was like, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry, I don't mean to intrude, but your shirt is amazing. It was just minimal World Cup logo on the front chest area, and on the back they had this like it's almost like a concert, like a tour style poster, and it's a cowboy doing a bicycle kick of a soccer ball, and then Dallas's skyline in the background, and it was
Oh,
just
that's
really
cool.
beautiful art. I'll send you show you this after we chat. I'll
Yeah.
screen share, but. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so she told me, oh, I got it from Abercrombie, of all places. And 1 a.m., I got back to the hotel and I was on there and I ordered my XL. It's a limited run. That's what they're doing. That's what Abercrombie's doing. They're licensing stuff. They're doing limited run. They're doing beautiful merch around these events. That is capturing a moment, right? For
Yep.
me. And I'm gonna wear that shirt with pride. I'll never wear it from going to a ball game where I'm gonna get hot dog, mustard and ketchup all
Yeah.
over me. It's gonna be something I wear where I know I'm not gonna make a mess of it, because it's gonna mean something to me, right? And
Yeah.
so that I felt was a really cool thing that Abercrombie's doing, where they are creating these limited runs, so people feel like they want to go get them. They're making them beautiful, and they're doing it around a moment. And so I think there's a lot of lessons that we can all learn as distributors, as suppliers, as designers. There's even deeper ways that we can take what we're already doing on top of the activation stuff and add an extra element of really interesting design to make it pretty, make it beautiful. That really captures that moment and
Yeah.
attaches it to that point in time, that event, that brand.
Love it. Love it. Hey, thanks for being here. Before we say goodbye, let me thank our sponsor, who also is a sustainable, very focused on sustainability. Huge thanks to our pals over at Shapenco, the Shelbyville pencil company made out of wood, for sponsoring this fine broadcast. For 90 years and 4 generations of family ownership, they have defined stability by caring about the success of their distributor partners. Head over to shapenco.com to start your next pencil project today. Lawrence, awesome. This was great. Thank you so much for doing this. We'll have to absolutely do it again sometime.
Bill, thank you so much. This is great. Really appreciate you having me on, and really enjoyed our time out in Moab a couple weeks ago. That was a cool couple of days out there.
It really was. All right. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.